Welcome to this quick tutorial on how to start, do, and then submit complete work for our coding assignments during the pre-course experience here at Hack Reactor. The very first thing to do is open up your web browser. We'll open a new window and we'll navigate to GitHub/HackReactor/ the name of the repository that you would like to do work on. Let's start with Underbar for today. The first thing to do is to fork the repository to your own personal account. If you'll notice, we're currently in the Hack Reactor account, but we want to have a copy of this repository in our own account. So we click Fork, and then we select our username. We wait a few seconds, and then we'll find that we're in our own account. This is mine. And we'll see that a new repository has been created with an identical name. All we have to do now is click Clone, copy the link, and then go over to our terminal. Make sure you're in the directory where you want to do work. I made an example one called work. And then we just do git clone and then the path to that repository. It says .git because it's up in GitHub. Great, we've now cloned the repository. If I want to see all of the repos in my current working directory, I type ls to list them. And I notice I've previously cloned down Test Builder, but now I also have SEIP 2006 Underbar. Okay, here's the next step. Let's take our browser and click the green item up here to full screen. Then I use Control and the left arrow to go back to this desktop. And then I'm going to use the editor that I like to use called Atom. You should all be using VS Code, but you'll use whatever command it is that you type to open the repository that you're interested in. So I will type, actually, we should probably cd into that repo first. And now let's open it. So I'll type atom dot. You'll probably type code dot. And that opens up my editor with the entire folder worth of code inside. You want to make sure that you're opening the entire folder, the entire directory in your editor, so that you have access to every file in that folder while you're coding, because you might want to look at the test code. You also might want to look at the place where you're doing work. You also might want to look at what libraries are installed. So it's just a good idea to have everything in the Underbar folder available to you in your editor. The next thing we do is make sure that we are in a full screen mode, and then we hit F3 on the Mac keyboard. That brings us to this sort of a view. So we can take our browser, drag it over our editor, and then we wind up in a dual full screen view, making it really easy to see both code on the left and the output of that code on the right. So the very next step before we begin doing any work is to go to our test-driven development test runner. In Underbar, it's called spec runner. It's an HTML file, so we can open it in the browser. And now we have all of our tests on the right, all of our code on the left. We'll go to Underbar to do our work. This is where we write our functions. And when we make a change, let's say for identity, we return val. Spoiler, that's the answer. Now if I go to the right and refresh the screen, I see that the tests passed, and I can see the code that made those tests pass. This is the very best way to do work, and this is how you should be doing it at Hack Reactor, so let's get on board with this process now. While you're working, if you need to see the test code that you just ran your function against, you can go to the spec folder and look at that code. But that's a little dangerous because if you change something in here by accident, you could break your whole repo. So it might be a better idea to just use the test runner that we built for you, click the test that you're curious about, and it will provide a drop menu with all of the test code that was actually in that test code file. See identity, second test, identity should return whatever value is passed into it, should return whatever value is passed into it. So this is the same code. Okay, back to our work. So at this point, we've done some work and we've passed some new tests. That means it's time to make a commit. We should make regular commits in our code as we progress. That way, if at any point, if we want to revert to a previous version of our code, we can because we have a series of clear commits. So let's go back to our terminal. I'm going to type git status to see what files have changed. I notice that underbar has changed, underbar.js. And I want to save that change. So step 1, git add underbar.js. I've now added it to the stage, and I can prove that by typing git status. Now, our file is green, and we have an indication that says that our file has been added to the stage. That's what git add does. We don't want to unstage it, we want to leave it there because anything on the stage can be git committed. If you type git commit, that says let's make a new commit with our current changes. We hit enter. This opens Vim, where we can hit the I key to enter insert mode. Then we type our commit message. Maybe that for this one we might write complete, we'll say implemented underscore dot identity. Then we hit escape, colon, WQ, which stands for write and quit, save and quit, and then just hit enter. If I want to see the commit I just made, if you finish the Git immersion tutorial, you now have an alias called git hist, so you can type git hist, enter. And you see here's the initial commit that Fred Zerdung made when he made the repo, and then here's our commit, implemented identity, and you see it has my name here. It also tells you the commit hash, which is a unique identifier, and it tells you the date that the commit was made. So it's great to have a long history of commits so that you can see how your code progressed over time and rewind to any of those commits in the future. Okay, at this point we made our commit. We should git push origin master and hit enter. This sends a request across the internet with all of our code in it, and it takes all of the changes and adds them to our personal account. Notice if I refresh, now I can see implemented identity, a commit that was made 2 minutes ago. My number of commits has increased by 1, and all my code up in the cloud is up to date. So if I accidentally delete my repo on my local machine, doesn't matter because I have a working history of it in GitHub. So we should always commit and push after we make a change, very regularly, every single change, every function. Okay, now we go back to our test suite. It's time to do more work. I see the last function is next, so I go to my code, I go to last, I read the instructions, and I do some work. Like first, but for the last elements, if n is undefined, return the last element. Okay, well, let's do MVP first, minimum viable product. It says our first test says should pull the last element from an array. And this says if n is undefined, return the last element. Well, I think handling the edge case is easiest, so I'm going to start with if n is undefined, I should return array of array dot length -1. That's the last element. And this is the final spoiler. I've done some work. I think it might pass a test, so I go to the right and I refresh the screen and I notice I did the thing. Should pull the last element from an array. Great. I've passed the test, so I should go back to my terminal and I should git status to see what has changed. I should git add the code that I changed. I should git commit to make a commit message. Remember, type I for insert mode. Make underscore dot last, return the last element in the input array if n is undefined. Very specific. What did I do? Escape, colon, WQ, enter. Now I check git hist. I see I've made a new commit. Excellent. That's exactly what I wanted. Let's push our changes up to GitHub. This basically means save my work so that I can clone it down later if I need to. Okay. At this point, we just continue doing work until we've passed all of the tests that are required to complete this assignment. Once all of the tests have passed and we're done and we're ready to submit our work on time by the deadline or earlier, we go to GitHub. We'll refresh just to see that our changes are there. We double check. And then we say, okay, it's time to make a pull request. Oh, but the instructions say that our final commit should say assignment complete. So let's make one more commit. We'll make a change, save it. We'll git add, git commit, and write assignment complete. That's our final commit. That helps the staff know that you're done and that this is actually your submission. And we'll git push origin master to send that up. Whoops, spelled something wrong. Git push origin master. Now when I refresh in GitHub, I see that the assignment is complete. Perfect, it's time to make a pull request. So I simply click new pull request. Okay, now this is the important part. What we see here is the pull request menu. This gray box is the most important part. All you'll need to do is click this second box, go to the list and select your GitHub handle. The pre-course staff will have already pre-populated this list with all of your GitHub handles for this cohort. If yours is missing, just make a help desk ticket and we'll add that branch right away so that you can make your submission. But for now, mine is here, so I click my handle. That's all you have to do. What does this say? It says, I would like to make a request. I would like to request that the Hack Reactor organization, that their SEIP 2006 underbar repo makes a pull, a git pull. We want to pull code into the branch called Anthony Pacillo. Where are we pulling it from? We're pulling it from the Anthony Pacillo account, SEIP 2006 underbar repo, master branch. So send code from Anthony's underbar repo's master branch to the Hack Reactor underbar repo's Anthony Pacillo branch. It's really that simple. Send from my repo to Hack Reactor's repo. And then we just click create pull request. Here, very important, type assignment complete. That will allow our scripts on our end to pick up your pull requests so that we can identify that you have submitted your work. You can leave the comment box empty if you want, or if you'd like to leave us a message, go for it. You can even type Markdown in here, so you can put a title, and then maybe some bullet points. This is bullet 1. This is bullet 2. Here's a snippet of code, just as an example. Preview it before you submit. Just make sure assignment complete is here as written and click create pull request. And that's it. As long as this is green, then you are good to go. You have submitted your code, we can see it. And if you want to double check that you did it right, all you have to do is check these two blue bits of text and make sure it says Hack Reactor and then your GitHub handle. And then it should say your GitHub handle master. As long as these things are as stated, Hack Reactor, your handle, master, and this is green, you have successfully submitted your work. At this point, the Hack Reactor pre-course staff is going to look up your pull request, go to your files changed, and start reading your code to grade. If we want to make a comment, simply click here and say, hey, this looks great. Nice work. Maybe we want to make a correction. Looks like you're only handling the final item in the array here, or whatever the comment might be. Please make a change. They'll obviously be more specific than that. And then it's up to you. You have successfully submitted your work. You passed all of your tests, so your code was good enough to get a big green check mark from us. However, if you'd like to add more value to your experience at this point, you can make the requested changes that your tech mentor gave you during their code review. I highly recommend that you take the hard work of the tech mentor who did a code review on your code, consider their change requests, and make them. All you have to do in order to submit your new code is go back to your repo, write some more code, go back to your terminal, git status, git add, git commit, make a commit message, made Anthony's requested changes. And then push your code back up to master. Once you've done that, your pull request will automatically update. You don't have to take any further action. Let's just finish that out. Now, if we look back, we'll see made Anthony's requested changes popped up, like your changes are present. If I had submitted the code review already, this would have popped up beneath the code review because this is like a timeline. However, that's it. You don't have to submit a second pull request. You're done. You've made your changes. So congrats. You've made it to the end of this tutorial. You now know how to start new work, do your work, set up your environment, and submit a final pull request.